everyone, John Ray here, slingshotfutures.com, and welcome to the daily futures and crypto market outlook for tomorrow's trading. Tomorrow being the 25th of the month. Well, we saw a little bit more movement come into the markets today, but certainly not anything crazy like we were, really looking forward to, or I guess more hoping for. There wasn't really any reason to believe we were going to get anything nuts, but, one can hope, right? Now, before we jump on in, as always, make sure to swing it over to slingshotfutures.com, scroll down, and join the Daily Outlook newsletter. That way you can be notified every time something comes out, along with the videos. Inside of the email itself, we go over different stocks and cryptos and anything interesting that's going on. We talk about inside of there as well. So it's a great newsletter to get your hands on if you haven't signed up for it already. Along with that, the live trading subscription and trial info is where you can sign up for a free 3-day trial in our live trade room. So you can sit down with us for a couple days, see the live trade room, see how we go through the day, see the trades that we're taking, look at how everything is kind of working out and how we're digesting the market, and just kind of formulating our plans throughout the day so you can see what's going on. It's a really good way to hang out with us for a couple days and see what it's all about. Now, when we're looking at the overall movement today, the euro was certainly, lackluster to say the least. We're still holding major support at 17,730, but we're also finding a little bit of resistance coming across these highs here. We can see a little bit of kind of a ceiling being put in. We have some nice resistance here. It held as support there, support into resistance, and now we're testing it again and cycling off of it. This is starting to resemble a little bit of an ascending wedge or flag looking for a breakout to the downside. Now, a lot more recently, we've seen these flags that'll break down, get a small objective, and then completely reverse. So that may be the case here on the euro. We have seen that a lot across all of the markets. But right now, that's kind of the way that the euro is looking. The big thing that really stands out is the fact that we have a 3-push wedge top into that major area of support or resistance and a potential little kind of double top trap high. Everything kind of lining up in the same place. So I'm looking for continuation of the downside to finish the objective off. In this case, the objective is just to retest 17,730. We do have rising support in the way, so they may not be able to get a full test, but right around that area is where I'm looking for the short side to want to push to. And that's kind of what makes the most sense at the moment. Over on gold for the most part still grinding down in the same wedge that it's been in for quite a while. We still have major support a little bit further down at 73.7, and the objective for the sellers is to go back down and test that once again. It's a very grindy type of move. We saw this back here as well, where there's really not much correction, and when there is a correction, it drops right back down again, and that was followed after a quick correction up. So basically, this whole move here is kind of like this whole move here, just a little bit smaller, right? Big move up very fast, and then a slow, grindy descent back to new lows. Big, fast move up, we're probably going to have a slow, grindy descent back to new lows. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here as well. I'm looking for continuation on the sell side to drive the market down and retest 73.7. And right now, we are in a slight little corrective phase. Earlier resistance coming into play? Definitely maybe, especially considering that was a nice level of support from before. So right around 77.9 where we are at the moment could easily lead into some more cycling to the downside here on gold to finish the day off. On crude oil, for the most part, we're just a big old blow-off candle to start the day off, and then we just really didn't do a whole lot else. In the bigger picture, we have a lot of buy support areas. The buyers are buying pretty much every dip they can get their hands on, especially that fake break we were talking about yesterday. We had a quick little snap down into a 3-push wedge bottom, nice little trap leading into a big rally to the upside, and now we have a shot for the buyers to try to keep this train going to the upside. One thing that stands out, of course, is those major kind of swing high area up here around 52.80. It's definitely something that I want to keep my eyes on. Not necessarily because it's a swing high, that part really doesn't matter, as much as the fact that the sellers so aggressively dominated price from there that I'm very interested to see what happens when price comes back towards that 52.80. Do the sellers defend, or do they just let it slide and we keep going through it? Chances are we're probably going to see defense there, and that's really what I'm looking for, is some sell side action off of those highs. So around 52.78, looking for rejection from there to drive the market back down lower. And then finally on the S&P, we're kind of continuing that megaphone type pattern, but the thing that really stands out here is not only are we continuing that megaphone pattern, they held it as support after we broke out, they held it as resistance, trying to hold it as resistance again, but the buyers are holding their end too, right? The sellers, normally with this kind of move down, you would anticipate seeing a secondary leg, but they're not going through with it. We had a beautiful bear bar absolutely no sellers came through after that candle closed. Nothing. Completely reversed right back up. So we're still resting inside of this major buy zone at around 62 to 64 that we were talking about yesterday, and it is still holding. Even after this major sell side move down, the buyers are not giving it up. This could end up just being a little bit of a flag of some sort, looking for a breakdown a little bit further, but I mean, in reality, the sellers aren't showing up to the party, so I have to still give the benefit of the doubt to the buyers. What I would really like to see is a little more continuation. Break through those highs, show me that the buyers want to keep it going, and then look for a pullback, bounce back to new highs to retest those double tops. If that fails, if we see some failure here and the sellers do finally show up, then looking to use this zone now as resistance instead of support, and then drive the market lower for major objectives below at 49.75. So that's going to be the overall outlook for tomorrow's trading. A decent amount of movement, but again, it was a little bit slow with a kind of a light news calendar today, but that is not the case for tomorrow. We have a lot of news going on tomorrow. Tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock, we have the German IFO Business Climate Index forecasted at 115.2. Out of the UK at 4:30, we have the GDP quarter over quarter and year over year, both for quarter 3 at 0.3% and 1.4% forecast respectively. At 8:30, we have the core durable goods orders month over month for September, forecasted at 0.5%. At 10 o'clock, we have new home sales for September, forecasted at 555,000. And we also have Canadian news at 10 o'clock, the Bank of Canada Monetary Policy Report, and their interest rate decisions at 10 o'clock, which might have an impact on crude oil. Canada does have quite a big hand in crude oil. So with some big Canadian news, that could definitely throw that around a little bit. And then, of course, tomorrow being Wednesday, 10:30, we have crude oil inventories. They're forecasted at negative 2.578 million. The previous was negative 5.73. At 11:15, we do also have the Bank of Canada Governor Paula speaking as well, so look out for that if you are trading any Canadian pairs. Outside of that, though, we're finally, it's all or nothing, it seems, with the news lately. It's Monday and Tuesday, nothing, or very light news calendars, and then tomorrow, it seems like we have everything thrown on the calendar at the same time. It'll be kind of interesting to see how the market wants to respond to that big difference in news weight. Now, jumping over to the cryptocurrency side of things, we have Bitcoin pulling back still. We have a 3-push wedge bottom that is putting in a potential low here. Nice support showing up at around 55.59 down to 55.20s. And if we retest this low, the assumption is that after having put in a 3-push wedge bottom, a retest of the lows is going to be nothing more than a trap. And sometimes those traps can be pretty big. I mean, don't be surprised if you see, if it does go down, a $100 dip underneath it. But the anticipation is that the market comes right back up again and continues on its merry way. And if this happens, that's usually the precursor to a big rally right back in the opposite direction of that fake break low. So in all honesty, even though, I'm sure a lot of people don't really want to see that dip lower, I kind of do, just because it will add a lot of emphasis for that upswing to allow the buyers to shove back up towards 6,000 again. And it might offer up some buyers to get into some nice cheap Bitcoin, which I don't think anybody will be too upset by. Overall, though, Bitcoin is looking pretty good. Now, keep in mind, Bitcoin Gold, the new fork, has launched. It's really a rocky start, so I'm not going to be taking a look at Bitcoin Gold yet. It's been all over the place. There was an early launch on YoBit, and then they got DDoS attacked on the website. It's been an absolute disaster in terms of a fork launch. So I'm going to leave it alone for a little bit. We'll let it kind of roll out. But the last time I saw it, it was sitting at around $250. So if you did get your free Bitcoin Gold, well, you got a couple extra $100 depending on how much Bitcoin you've got laying around. Aside from that, though, I'm going to leave it be. I'll let it calm down a little bit before we start going too crazy on Bitcoin Gold. Looking over on Ethereum, Ethereum has a beautiful rally to the upside and looking for continuation. We have an open price objective at around 315.60 to 316 rather, for a little more continuation to the upside. We held the buy zone, very aggressive bull move to the upside, anticipating that a lot of buyers are going to want to buy any pullback they can get their hands on, and the objective is going to be those previous swing highs and price objectives ahead of that for major areas of interest and targets on the way up. So Ethereum is still looking good. The next pullback area could be right now, or it could be a little bit below 300 to kind of retest that big round number and then look for a rally back to the upside. Litecoin, I mean, again, the issue that we've been talking about lately with Litecoin is the fact that we had this major support area that broke down. They tried breaking above it again, it failed. And now we're showing a weak low, so buyers are showing up, they're buying early, and they're trying to push the market higher. but we still have this line in the sand, right? So Litecoin, although it does look good, they have a lot of work to do before I gain a lot of faith on Litecoin. I still think in the long term, Litecoin is totally fine. It's going to be, you know, 150, 200 bucks by next year. But right now, we're really stuck, and they need to break through that major line in the sand, because otherwise, I'm just looking for short-term bounces up to there and then looking to call it quits. If we can start breaking above it, then maybe a pullback from there. But for the time being, looking for a shallow pullback to around earlier support and resistance at 56, looking for buying pressure off of 56 to continue that retest of that line in the sand. But again, long-term is going to be tough right now until we break above that major line. NEO catching a beautiful bounce as well. If you bought off of that 26 low, you had just a ridiculously nice rally to the upside, all the way up to almost 33 before we started seeing some profit taking. We're still stuck in the same range, right? Buyers are heavily buying low, and they're getting out right towards the highs. And we seem to be finding a balance at around 32 if you were to cut it in half, and the lows at around 26. And we're just kind of range bound inside of there. So right now, buy low, sell high, stay out of the middle, and you should be a-okay on NEO. Also, Civic catching a beautiful rally to the upside as well, bouncing off of the lows and potentially just fake breaking the bottom before seeing some movement up. They are also getting a lot of good news on Civic, so that could definitely be aiding that continuation towards the upside. Still looks pretty good. I think a lot of buyers would love to wait to see a retest of 30.9 cents. 0.309 would be a lot of buying pressure on that retest, just to add proof, right? Earlier support acts as resistance, breaks above, acts as support again, and a lot of buyers are likely going to be stacked up around that for another bounce back up. And also taking a look at ADA. Now, we did have the Cash 2020 conferences and all that fun stuff going on, and ADA, or probably more commonly known as Cardano. So Cardano had a big kind of meet and greet, a big meeting and all that fun stuff, and well, judging by this most recent spike off of the lows, I would say it went pretty well. So they are starting to get a little bit more media coverage. There are more people getting more and more interested. There are also going to be more conferences, speaking on kind of the conference side of things, more for probably ETP, ADA, NEO, some of those other ones. We have a Saudi meeting coming up in not too long either. So we might get a little bit more traction for these cheaper coins to catch a nice little lift. Either way, though, we have plenty of opportunities. The altcoins are catching a beautiful rally today, with Bitcoin falling a little bit lower, and plenty to trade for sure. So that's going to do it for the outlook. Hopefully you learned something, hopefully you found it interesting. And again, it doesn't matter what market you're trading, whether you're looking at cryptocurrencies, stocks, futures, cockroach futures, I don't care what you're trading. If it moves and you trade it, you need to make a plan, follow that plan, trade those rules, and you'll be a-okay. Until next time, we'll see y'all then.